Alright, what is up YouTube? Today I'm riding the 2023 KTM Super Duke 1290 GT. So this is the GT model, not the R model. This is the, I'd call it a Grand Touring model. Has the same 1290 engine that is in the Super Duke R, just tuned a little bit differently. Slightly less horsepower. And it's very quick. Now it is a bigger bike, so it's not going to feel as quick as the Super Duke R, but this is the touring version, so it's a lot more comfortable. The handlebars are higher here. You're in a little bit more of a touring position as well. Taking off from a stop is fairly easy. It does require a little bit more finesse than some of the smaller bikes. It doesn't really like the low RPMs, like 3,000 RPM. Seems like this one might be tuned a little bit higher RPM range. But so far it's very comfortable, very smooth. There is a little bit of vibrations from this V-twin engine. Feels like there's some good vibrations here. So it's not as smooth as you would think. But it does have quick shifter up and down, which is awesome. I'm in second gear here. Let's throw it around the corner. A little bit of trail braking. Wow, I'm really leaning this thing over. Or at least it feels like it. Oh yeah. Wow. That's some good power right there. That is some good power right there. Strong mid-range right there. But yeah, leaning this over, it is a little bit of a taller bike, so I don't have the confidence to really lean it over, but it felt pretty good. It felt pretty smooth going through that roundabout there. And the one thing I've noticed about KTM bikes is they're very smooth. Throttle response, shifting, clutch pull, just everything is just so smooth. Oh, wow, wow. The traction control kicked in. Holy cow. I felt the rear end starting to shake. The traction control just kicked in. Well, first of all, the amount of power this bike puts down is awesome. So that's quite a good amount of power for any bike and a touring bike. The torque just hits so hard when you roll on the throttle that it just wants to step out. And this road is a little bit slick here too, so it is partially road conditions. It's fairly easy to ride if you ride it carefully, of course. And we're in sport mode, so let's go around this corner here. So it feels pretty good coming around this corner. Feels stable. I don't have any issues with leaning it over through the fast sweeping corners like that. And the brakes, yeah, brakes are very good. This bike does have ABS, obviously, so that's gonna help with the braking. I can feel traction control. Oh my goodness, this bike is so fast. This bike is so fast. Yeah, that's a lot of power. A very strong torque. And so we're gonna come to a stop here. It's fairly easy to manage at low speeds. Now, I can't flat foot it. I'm 5'11". It is a little bit taller of a bike. I can almost flat foot it. I'm in second gear here. So the clutch pull isn't too bad. It requires a little bit of effort to pull in, but really not that bad. But yeah, you see I was in fourth gear there doing a little pull, and it just has power in most of the RPM range. I think it wants more throttle before I do a quick shift up. I do really like this screen. It's massive, gives you a lot of information, which also can be a bad thing. It can be distracting. So I'm trying not to look at it too much. but it is nice to look at, I gotta be honest. Big tablet. Now this bike has a bunch of different power modes. Right now I'm in sport mode, and ABS, traction control. It has pretty much all the gadgets that you would want. Stability control, so a lot of technology in this bike. And the brakes are very good. They grab pretty hard here, so it's nice having ABS. I also feel like the suspension in front is a little bit soft, so I can feel the suspension dive a bit when I give it some brake. The rear suspension's not too bad. It is softer than some of the sport bikes that I've ridden today. Not too soft to where it just feels bouncy. It is very easy to control at a stop here. Just a little bit of rear brake and managing the clutch. I like the shifting. It's not clunky, but it gives you a little clunk into gear. Some of the Japanese bikes are a little bit more clunky with their gearboxes. This one feels very smooth. I'm gonna go over this with sitting. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's pretty firm. I mean, it's pretty stiff for those smaller bumps. Overall, very easy to ride. I like the seating position. I feel like it's a little bit more aggressive than the Kawasaki Versys or Harley Davidson Pan America 1250. So that bike is definitely a lot more touring, like a little bit more touring position. This one feels like a sport touring bike to me. It's still sporty, but you can ride it for quite a few hours of the day. This isn't like the full-on touring bike, I don't think. Maybe it is. A lot higher power than the Versys and higher power than the Harley. And this bike starts around 19,000, 20,000-ish MSRP. So it is quite expensive. But if you're looking in the sport touring side of bikes here, they do tend to be around that price range. And it does have pretty good manners at low speeds here. It doesn't like too low of an RPM though, so it feels kind of weird if you let it go too low on the RPMs. So like I was saying with the seating position, it feels like a touring bike, but it feels a little bit more sporty. I feel like I'm leaned forward a slight bit, and so it puts you in a little bit more aggressive position than some of the full-on touring bikes. The tank is nice and big. You can grip your legs on the tank here, and I feel like this position would be comfortable for a few hours, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. And so I'm testing the downshifts there with the quick shifter. No clutch needed. That's pretty cool. I do like a quick shifter here and there. I think it makes sense on this bike. Taking off from a stop is fairly easy. Now the Versys 1000 is going to be a 4-cylinder bike, and it's probably going to be smoother than this. This bike is a V-twin. There's going to be more vibrations, and I'm sure the power bands are going to be slightly different. My thought process is that the 4-cylinder is automatically going to be smoother. I feel like the Versys was so smooth. Now this bike is going to vibrate more because of that V-twin. That's something to consider if you're looking at a few different bikes to go touring and sport touring. I guess that would be my only complaint right now, is the amount of vibrations is a little more than I would like to see. Everything else is very smooth, just it likes to vibrate, and that's just the engine type that they chose, really. I will say there's a lot of heat coming out onto my ankles, mostly my right ankle, so something to consider as well. You can't really get away from that. There are some bikes that are better at dissipating that heat. I do feel it. I gotta make note of it here. Suspension is on comfort mode as well, so that's partially why the suspension is softer. Let's see. Yeah, I'm giving it a little bit of gas, and it doesn't want to upshift without the clutch, so I feel like you really have to be on the gas to do the upshifting with the quick shifter. Downshift, it seems like it doesn't care. This bike does have Brembo brakes, so you can feel confident that it's going to stop on a moment's notice. And ABS. Brembo and ABS together That's confidence inspiring right there. And you can obviously choose different modes for your ABS and traction control, suspension. So a lot of technology on this bike. If I was looking for a sport touring bike, I'd definitely consider this. It's priced pretty close to what some of the other offerings are. And it does have a lot of power, very fast bike. I do like that. I like the V-twin. You know, I'm not a V-twin hater. Although if you go ride a Kawasaki Versys 1000 and you feel the smoothness of a 4-cylinder beefy engine, it's, I don't know, you gotta kind of determine what you like, because the smoothness will get you sometimes. But yeah, great bike. I had fun on it. Very easy to ride still, even with all the power. It got good manners.